Hi. I kind of have like a couple of things that I want to talk about, but this is going to be a rant. My last posts were essays, so I hope you guys enjoyed those. This is a rant. I haven't actually watched any of the content. Like, so there's things happening. There's protests and riots happening in the UK, and I feel like most of us saw this coming, and a few people are just so surprised. And I wonder why they are surprised because here's the thing. I saw a post the other day, and the post said something to the effect of, don't pride yourself for not being a refugee because you did nothing to deserve that status of not being a refugee. Like, in another circumstance, you could just as well be the refugee. Um, I used to feel like that sentiment made sense. Like, I kind of, not I necessarily agreed with it, but I even understood it. And I don't feel that way anymore. And the reason that I don't feel that way is because I feel like it's the people who clamor the hardest, the people who are running away from these like really destitute areas and countries. They're running to America and the UK, and they don't really, some people give back and go back, but most people have no intent to give back or go back. And so it leaves nothing. All it leaves are stories of prosperity, and it's marginal prosperity, right? Without any solutions. It would almost be like if you left your family to go find fire, and then on the way to find fire, okay, you found an apartment with electricity, and so then you didn't need the fire anymore, but you never brought a match or a lighter back to your family when they needed the lighter, right? It's like they still don't have any like heat or light. And now you have an electricity in an apartment and appliances, but they still don't have fire. This is like the problem that I see, and I don't understand why other people don't see this as like the problem. It's kind of like why I can't personally get down with the like, I don't know, with the like, it's not pro or anti-immigrant. I don't know. I don't really care too much anymore. I think there's as many problems with Americans as there are with immigrants, but I will say that it says quite a lot when everyone is choosing this, making the same choice. You know, like everyone is legitimately choosing to come here or to go to the UK right now. That's where the protests are, and people from the UK are saying we want our country back, and like they have a point. They like legitimately have a point because they do have a country, and like, you know, the UK and Britain were around before America, and so much of American culture, what we call the developed world, comes from that. So I understand if you are, you know, what's her name, who's, you know, and she's in her African village and she's like, you know, doing all of her traditional things there, and I personally appreciate her making videos about it and talking about it because that's a real way of life, and she's choosing to live that way. And there's like, that's the thing, there are a lot of people who are making that choice. And to me, some of the things that are disrespectful is when like if I were to tell you, like, I choose, you know how like a lot of people right now are choosing like Ballerina Farm, for instance. Ballerina Farm is a really nice example of this. She's a girl with a farm, okay, and a lot of like equipment and okay, and like, but she's on a farm. I mean, her lifestyle maybe is like a little bit more modern than, you know, some people in an African village who are farming, but not, I mean, not that much, right? It's about like living off of the land. But we have just started to kind of like, um, we've just started to appreciate and kind of accept that lifestyle as not only real and valid, but like respectable. And so many people have called, you know, people from other worlds who live that way, like, you know, not, they weren't like nomads or anything, they were like primitive, right? They were like primitive and poor and colored. And so that's a whole conversation. But I think it's what I'm saying is that I think that people who are choosing to live that way deserve respect, because some they if they're choosing to live that way, they're saying I would rather live this way than, another way, like the model who left New York to go live that way, right? And she was living that way before. That's her choice. And you can make that choice, or you could choose something different. You can be like, no, I want to live in the city. And then you can go live in the city, like whatever. But also, like, not I think the biggest point here is like, not everyone has the choice. Like, everyone cannot say, I'm going to go live in Los Angeles tomorrow. I'm going to go live in San Francisco tomorrow. Everyone on planet Earth can't make that choice. And that is what I do feel like is kind of happening right now. Everyone is saying, everyone on planet Earth, all of the humans are saying, we're all coming to America and the UK and the developed world because we've seen the television and the movies and all the things, and we know that it's better. Therefore, we deserve better too, because we are all, I don't know what they're saying to validate it, but they're saying something to give a sort of like validation to their beliefs that they should be able to come, and everyone can't come. That doesn't even make any sense. That would be like if everyone on planet Earth saw your home and then they were like, your home is so nice. Now your home is going to be my home. Every single thing that you have now, I'm going to have it. I think that's kind of like that's one of the bigger problems, I think, honestly. And I don't even want to say like just the black community, because there's other immigrant communities as well, but there are quite a lot of black immigrants and African immigrants. And like, so many people say they have like a me too kind of monkey see monkey do attitude. I've seen someone else do this, I've seen someone else do that, my family member did that, this person from my tribe did that, therefore I can do it. I am inherent. Like, representation is nice, but individuality and critical thinking, I think, are worth more. And we need to like focus a little bit more time and energy there, because it's just getting weird. Like, really, everyone on planet Earth now wants to like, oh, it's weird. It's beyond like getting weird. Like, it's just weird. Like, why would there ever be a situation where like everyone would want to have the exact same experience, especially like the exact same experience at the exact same time? Like, that's so strange. That's another reason why I keep doing these like outside vlogs where it's like just me. I don't want to be influenced by anyone else. I'm just not interested in what anyone else has going on. Not in like a shady way, but like sometimes, most of the time I don't care. I legitimately don't care. Sorry, I just don't. I care about what I have going on. And I think one of the biggest problems with this, and one of the major reasons I've had to shut my family members off, is because they have this weird belief that what I have going on is what we have going on. Like, the shit that I'm doing inherently involves them. It'll be something that like I made, I paid for, an experience that I have. And little did I know, I have family members who are like telling whole stories about my experience that they were not invited to, that they were not even like present at. I didn't tell them any stories about this. They are just telling stories on their own. They heard shit through the grapevine that I didn't even tell them. Like, excuse me, ma'am, were you there? No. No, you were not. Did anyone invite you or tell you the story first person? Did you have anything at all to do with it? No. Like, here's an example. I personally have, like, I'm planning a trip to Chicago right now, right? But this is not my first trip to Chicago. I've been to Chicago before. The trip that I took to Chicago before, my whole, like, a lot of my grandma and a lot of her family members, when my mom was growing up, lived in Chicago, right? That was like their big city experience. And it wasn't good. And so when I told some of my family members that I was going to Chicago, they weren't happy. They were like very afraid for my life. And um, I think that when I came back from that trip, it was a talking point. There was kind of a lot to say, right? Because like my entire family had moved, they'd all moved from Chicago to California because of like violence. And so for me to go back, and they have never gone back, it was like scary, and it was kind of like revolutionary for my family, but I didn't have this like come to truth moment with them where I was like, this is for us, or this is about us, or we, or like there was no part in it was a community. It was just my personal experience. I had a really great experience with one of my good friends. Like we had some fun there. Like all of the trip had nothing to do with them or their trauma, and their trauma didn't even really affect me because I didn't live through it. I didn't live in the same neighborhood that they had experienced those things in. I was having a completely different lived experience, and yet my new story of new experiences and new context and all of that stuff was like almost like shadowed by the shit that they'd gone through before. And I'm so tired of that. Like I don't want to share my experiences anymore. This is my issue. Like I don't want to share my experiences. Not share like talk about them and then you can like listen to my experience of it. I mean like I don't want to include you in my experience if you weren't there. Like it is mine. I'm owning the experience and you can kind of, you know, play a secondary role in it if you hear the story and you like the story and in some way you like, you know, you feel compelled to listen, something like that. Okay, fine. But I'm saying the issue that I'm having is like when it's my story and then all of a sudden it becomes your story. I don't like that. Like I like my stories to be for me. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that might be a difficult concept, but that's kind of where I was going.